And before we get into the meat of the document, who would like to volunteer to sit in this class?
I'm a volunteer.
Right here.
I volunteer.
I saw that hand first.
No.
Okay. Okay. Article 1 is the beginning of the Constitution, only preceded by the preamble, okay? But Article 1 itself is the first part of the Constitution that gives instruction on forming the government. And it is Article 1, Section 1, and it's only one sentence long. Let's stand up. We're going to read this together. All legislative powers
granted shall exist in Congress of the United States, which shall consist of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Excellent. Okay, you may be seated. How many legislative powers have been herein granted? Say that louder, Brianna. All of them. All legislative power. That means all law-making power. All power to make law. All. Not some, not most, not almost all. It means all. Okay? All legislative powers. Herein granted. What does herein granted mean? Yes?
Given.
Yes. Given. It's a simple way, given is a simple way of saying placed into. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested or placed into a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of two chambers. Say it out loud. A Senate and a House of Representatives. The Congress is, here's the Congress, okay? And it's got two chambers. It's got the Senate and it's got the House of Representatives, right? And that combined is the Congress, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you can be seated, but let's say this together one more time. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in the United States, which shall consist of the Senate and the House of Representatives. Okay. This is not only Article 1, Section 1, Sentence 1, but so much of what comes in the Constitution later is based on this one sentence. If you understand this one sentence, you understand probably more about the Constitution than your own congressman does. Right. Now let us skip ahead to page 5, the top of page 5, and we're going to look at section 7. Okay. Let's read this together. Stand up, please. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Okay? That's good. That shows motivation. Thank you. So where do bills for raising revenue originate? The House of Representatives. What does it mean to raise revenue?
Get money for the government.
Exactly. Get money for the government. Or there's actually one small word with 3 letters that you can shorten it up even more. That's right. Throw that fellow a fish. Okay. So if a bill causes a tax, the Constitution says it has to originate in the House of Representatives. Good. Okay. Now does that mean that a bill that creates a tax could originate in the Senate? Yes or no? No. Because it has to originate in the House of Representatives, right? But what about exceptions? Can there be an exception to that? Why not? It's important that we have this bill that, and it just increases a very small, tiny little tax, and it's a very, 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 very important bill, and we're just doing it this one time. Can that originate in the Senate? You're right. It cannot. And why? What's the word? What's that three-letter little word that the section begins with? All. What does all mean? Everyone. Or it means all, right? All campers have a copy of the Constitution on them, right? Are there any campers here who do not have a copy of the Constitution?
Jordan. Jordan. Just wasted.
Maybe Miss Shirtliff can help rectify that situation. So, after Miss Shirtliff helps rectify this circumstance, the answer is no. There are no campers who do not have a copy of the Constitution on them, and there are no bills, or there should be no bills, that raise revenue that originate anywhere but the House of Representatives. Okay. But the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. So, may other bills originate in the Senate if they do not raise revenue?
Yes.
Yes. But if they raise revenue, they must originate where? What if somebody tells you that a bill can raise revenue as long as it originates in the Congress? Is that accurate? No, it's not really that accurate, is it? Because it's got to originate in the House, and Congress includes the Senate. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk about every bill. Every bill which shall have. Look on with me and say it with me as well. Okay. Every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes law, be presented to the President of the United States. Stop. If he approves, he shall sign it. But if not, he shall return it. Including with his objections to that house in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the President's objections at large on their journal and proceed to reconsider it. So if a bill gets to the President and the President doesn't like it, he can what? Return it with his objections, at which point they shall reconsider it. Now, if you skip down, we're not going to go through every word on this section because we're going to go through sections 8 and 10 as well. But if you skip down to down here, right there, look on with me. It says, if any bill shall not be returned by the President within 10 days, Sundays accepted, after it shall have been presented to him, the same shall become a law in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress, by their adjournment, prevent its return, in which case it shall not become a law. Well, that's important to know. The President has 10 days, and if Congress adjourns, those 10 days are basically ended, so the bill dies. But also, that does not include Sundays. And that's indicative of the fact that the Founding Fathers recognized that Sunday is a holy day. And even the government to this day, thankfully, does not operate on Sundays. And it shouldn't. Okay. Let's go to section 8. Top of page 6. Or near the top of page 6. Let's all read this together. The Congress shall have the power to stop. Let's do this again. The Congress shall have the power to stop. We're going into one of the meatiest sections, and that's, full of meat, that is, section of the Constitution that shows what the government can do, okay? What the government can do, okay? These are the powers that we're about to go through that the Congress has the power to make law regarding, okay? So we'll go, I'm not going to say stop this time, let's read the whole paragraph, please. The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, and pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, excises shall be uniform throughout the United States. What does it mean to be uniform throughout the United States? Raise your hand because I couldn't tell who was talking. Yeah. The same. Yeah. So, in other words, New Hampshire cannot put a different tax on products coming in from England than Massachusetts. Okay. So, taxes, duties, imposts, and excises. We know what taxes are. Duties are a more formal way of saying taxes. An impost is a tax again, but it's on something specific, like a horse. If a horse were being sold or delivered to the U.S. from another country, there might be an impost on that, or a fee. And excises are the same thing as imposts, but usually when they use the word excises, it's on something like cigarettes or alcohol or something that's perceived to be not healthful. So let's talk about these powers. And by the way, if you were listening carefully during Mr. Edlum's presentation on separations of powers, they were all listed right up here on the screen. Okay, so we're going to go through these powers. Paragraph number 2, let's read it together. To borrow money on the credit of the United States. To regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes. To establish a uniform rule of naturalization and uniform laws on the subject of bankruptcies throughout the United States. So let's stop for a second. Basically, these laws are the same whether you're in New Hampshire or Massachusetts or Connecticut, and that's what the Founding Fathers wanted on these issues. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next one. To coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures. Okay, let's stop for a moment. Does it say, did the Founding Fathers grant the power to print money? What do you say? Yes or no? No, that's correct. Did the Founding Fathers grant our government the power to coin money?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Right. and fix the standards of weights and measures. And just going off the top of my head, I might be wrong, but it's close. The Founding Fathers established that, I believe it was 371 grains of silver constituted a dollar. Does anybody know for sure if that's right, or is it 374? Anyway, it's about that. 371, or it might be 371.4 grains of silver constitute a dollar. And that's what they mean by establishing, fixing the standards of weights and measures. So let's move on to the next line. Let's say this together. To provide for the punishment of counterfeiting the securities and current coin of the United States. So counterfeiting is illegal. Next one. To establish post offices and post roads. Right? Post road. Did someone have a question? Oh, okay. I thought somebody was wondering what a post road is. It's basically a road that's maintained by the government, and you pay a little toll. Thank you. Toll to travel on the road. So, let's do this one. Promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. Basically, it's like patents. So if you invent or create something, you have the privilege of benefiting from that for a few years, and the government will protect that for you, will protect your ability to benefit from your own creation or discovery. To constitute tribunals inferior to the Supreme Court. Does everybody know what a tribunal is? It's a type of court. Okay? Now, because Congress can constitute a tribunal inferior to the Supreme Court, Congress can also abolish that court, can it not? I mean, if you create something, like let's say you build a bird bath in the backyard, you've built that, you can take it down, right? Yeah. So Congress has the power over the courts it creates. And that is a power that is not really used very much because we, the people, don't hold our congressmen accountable to use the power that they have. It's amazing how our congressmen take powers that they don't have at times, and yet powers that they do have, they do not exercise those powers. Okay, to define and punish piracies and felonies committed on the high seas and offenses against the laws of nations. To declare war. Grant letters of marque and reprisal, and make rules concerning captures on land and water. Can the president declare war?
No.
No. No. Does it happen?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, it's wrong. And Congress lets the president get away with it because the Congress has the power to declare war. What would happen if you or I declared war on a country?
No one would buy it.
Say it louder?
No one would buy it.
Well, no one would buy it, yeah. And something very bad might happen to one of us, too. I mean, they might send someone to throw us in jail. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be good. But they let the president get away with it, don't they? So who has the power to declare war? Congress. Okay. All right. Top of page 7. To raise and support armies, but no appropriation of money to that use shall be for a longer than a 2-year term. To provide and maintain a navy. Okay. That's something that Congress does do. That's one of the things that they're getting right, isn't it? They do provide and maintain a navy. To make rules for government and regulation of land and naval forces. To provide for calling forth the militia to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions. Repel invasions. What's happening in America today, especially on the southwest border?
We're getting invaded by
We're-
illegal immigrants.
We're being invaded. That's right, we're being invaded. And yet Congress has the authority to stop that, doesn't it?
They do.
And what are they doing?
They're not doing anything.
They're not doing anything. Very little, anyway, very little. Let's move down to the last paragraph in section 8. Where it says to make all the laws, okay? Let's say that together. To make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. Stop. To make all the laws which shall be necessary and proper for the carrying into execution the foregoing powers. What does that mean? The foregoing powers. The aforementioned powers. The powers that we just talked about. Right? All these powers that we just talked about. Declaring war, establishing post offices, constituting tribunals. Congress has the power and authority to make all laws necessary and proper for carrying into execution those powers. Now, does Congress have the power and authority to tell you what brand of toothpaste to buy?
No.
No. Why?
Because we have our rights.
Because we have our rights and because it's not listed here.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't say, oh, to instruct the citizens of the United States of America in what toothpaste to use. It doesn't say that. So therefore, Congress doesn't have that authority. Does it have the authority to tell us how to educate our children? No. We don't see that here, do we? So therefore, Congress cannot make laws about that. This sentence is possibly the most misinterpreted sentence in the whole Constitution. If it's not the most, it's second or third. Okay? It is one of the most misinterpreted clauses in the whole Constitution. Let's say it again together. Okay? Stand up. To make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers. Stop. And all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. Okay, you can be seated again. So, it says, and all other powers vested by this Constitution. There are other powers in the Constitution other than just pages 6 and 7, okay? But most of them are on pages 6 and 7. So if you're in an argument or disagreement with someone, they say that Congress can tell you
What to do?
what to wear, whatever, what to do, what job to have. Pages 6 and 7. This is your guide. Now, you want to be sure. I mean, you want to investigate the whole document, but most of it's right here. Probably 90% of Congress's powers are right here on these 2 pages. If it's not here, they can't do it. Okay, now let us flip over to page 8, and we're going to begin on section 10. Section 10. Okay. And let's say this together. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit. Stop. No state may emit bills of credit. That means create a paper money. That's an old-fashioned expression for saying what we say today is create a note or a paper money. That's what that's saying. Granting letters of marque and reprisal. We talked about that at the bottom of page 6. It's in the declare war clause. Granting a letter of marque and reprisal. A letter of marque is basically a deputization of a citizen to go off and do something in the name of the country. So, for example, maybe you're in a boat and you're a billionaire like Warren Buffett, and you have fabulous boat that's even bigger than this whole building. Okay, and there's a pirate out there at sea, and that pirate is bullying this tiny little American vessel, and they're out just having a good time. And this pirate comes and attacks and steals everything off of the American family that are just having a little trip. A letter of marque would grant Mr. Buffett the power to take that pirate, and that would not be a violation on the high seas. So, let's see here. We're going to go back to that paragraph. Emit bills of credit. Make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Gold and silver coin. Can the government make platinum money? No. Can the government make nails money? No. Can the government make Federal Reserve notes money? No, but they do anyway. What does the Constitution authorize to be made as money? Gold and silver. Now that doesn't mean that you on your own couldn't create a note or use nails as barter, but the government does not have the power to do that. You see the difference? That's a key distinction. Okay? Pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law. That's why, what's your name? Mikey. That's why Mikey's sitting here, okay? Because of ex post facto laws, okay? Or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. You know, it's interesting, a title of nobility. For example, if the Queen of England knights Mr. Shirtliff and makes him a knight of the British Empire, Mr. Shirtliff would then become ineligible to serve as President of the United States because he's a title of foreign nobility, right? And there is some disagreement on when, for example, when President Obama was first elected president. This was about a little over 3 years ago, maybe three and a half years ago. He had just been inaugurated, and maybe, I don't know, I think it was about a month later, he was given the Nobel Prize. And there are some people that have said that the Nobel Prize has with it a title of nobility. I'm not positive if that's true or not, but if it is true, it's another violation of the Constitution. Now, what is an ex post facto law? Does anybody know what an ex post facto law is? Okay, an ex post facto law is, for example, all campers must sit in these seats facing the instructor, okay? Let's say that's a law, okay? And let's say we make that law a law this minute, okay? It hasn't been a law up until this minute, but now, as of this minute, all campers have to face the instructor. Is anybody now in violation of the law?
Except for her. She's facing
You
Not
are.
that way.
She is.
So Mikey, you can go back and sit where you were. Okay. Okay. Now, Mikey sat through the whole class right here. And we just made it a law 1 minute ago that you cannot sit there. Did Mikey break the law?
Yes.
She did. Who said yes?
He did.
Why do you think Mikey broke the law?
Because she wasn't facing you totally. She
Okay.
was diagonal.
Okay. And when did that become the law?
Just like
A minute ago, right. So, but it wasn't a law during the class. It only became the law 1 minute ago, and then she moved. But you think she broke the law? Raise your hand if you think Mikey broke the law. Okay? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Raise your hand if you don't think Mikey broke the law. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay. All right. I'm going to tell those of you that voted the wrong way that you've got to change your vote. Okay? So, what's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan. Everybody's got to vote with Jordan. Okay? So, all those who think that Mikey broke the law, let's raise our hand and vote with Jordan. I see some hands down. The hands need to go up. Okay.
They have to.
Okay, including Mikey's hand. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. You can put your hands down.
Jordan.
Jordan, actually, you were very helpful in this exercise, Jordan, but you were not correct. Okay? Mikey is innocent.
I knew it might be.
Okay? Mikey is innocent. And the reason why is because the Constitution right here in Article 1, Section 10, in the last paragraph says there cannot be an ex post facto law, which means you cannot try somebody for a law that you cannot try someone if they did something before it was illegal. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Okay. But, did you see what I did to all of you? Just because I was the instructor, I told you all to vote with Jordan. And what happened? Every single one of you did.
Not at first, but then you said,
I didn't raise my hand.
That's right. Right? So you voted against your conscience, didn't you? Didn't you vote against your conscience? You thought Mikey was innocent, but because I told you you had to vote the other way, you did it anyway, didn't you? Right? So, but the Constitution, the Founding Fathers knew, this is very important, campers, very important. The Founding Fathers knew that people could be tried. If the government doesn't like you, the government can try you. They can just, oh, okay, well, Sean has a pink, a plastic bicycle in his front yard. Okay. So therefore, we're going to say anybody that has a plastic pink bicycle in their yard is guilty, and we're going to throw them in jail, right?
Yeah.
So, but the Founding Fathers knew that there were people who seek positions of power, and then they use that position of power as a weapon against someone that they don't like. And so an ex post facto law is illegal in the Constitution. Well, thank you to everybody who participated in this exercise. Are there any questions?
No.
What is money in the Constitution? Silver and gold. Close your eyes and see if you remember Article 1, Section 1, Sentence 1. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. All legislative power herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. Okay. Do that one more time on your own. And you can if you can't remember it, go ahead and read, use your eyes, but try to do it from memory.
Article 1, Section 1.
Article 1, Section 1, Sentence 1.
All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives.
Remember to have your constitutions with you tonight at your classes. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Reverend Kraft or Mr. Edlum, or is there any instructor that has an announcement? No? Okay, I guess you go to lunch.
I'm hungry.